In academia, we have a thing that's called the canon, a set of rules by which all other things are whatever it is they are, by which all other things that are whatever it is they are going to be measured and or to be judged. Unless, of course, and this is a big unless, of course, it is art. In which case it means nothing. That's right, I think it means nothing. Because art is at its best, or it is at its worst, or it is at its whatever it is, or it might be. It is like a vagabond, or it is like a wandering minstrel, that is never going to be able to fit into a particular situation or into a particular anything for very long. In academia, art is like, well, it's like a misnomer. Or is it, well, I'm not sure. The artist, him, her, or themselves, is like a performer who comes into the world with a bag of tricks already at their disposal that other people are going to have to make of it whatever it is they will. Or they might not want to have to make anything of it at all, and no shame on those who do not want to have to make anything of it. Because in my view, and I think I'm saying that quite a lot, in my view, or in my whatever else it is, or it might be, in my humble opinion perhaps, it is not as though art is an essential thing, in the way we might say we need air to breathe, or food to eat, etc. I might even go so far as to say I think art is potentially an antithesis of that which is, or of that which might be considered to be or to become an essential thing, or to become a thing that is essential. But do not assume, in case you've already assumed this, that I think art is a luxury. I do not think art is a luxury. I think. What do I think? I'm not sure. No, I am. I am sure. I think it is, by its being lots of other things besides this. I think art is always going to be, or it is always going to be, about an effort that we ourselves are going to have to make if we want to be able to join in with the various postulations, which is, I know, an ugly word, but I think I'm going to have to go with it for now. To be able to join in with the various postulations that come into play every now and then to say art is this, or it is that, etc. And yes, I know it also requires something of us. Or is it from us? From those of us who can be bothered to spend some time thinking, or perhaps we're the only ones who have enough time to be able to think about whatever it is that art is, or it might be, or it might become, which is whatever it is that we ourselves are able to imagine, that this is whatever it is to us. Otherwise, what is the point? The point. Yes, what is the point? And I think that this is where a notion of ourselves as being whatever it is we are being by being ourselves as an individual really comes into play. When I start to talk, it is about me. And I think it is inevitably about me in relation to someone or in relation to something that is something else. If I think about myself in relation to, let us say it is a work of art, I might say I think it is this or I think it is that. That does not mean to say it is this or it is that. It is simply the expression I use to describe an idea I'm having at that moment, which is in whichever moment it is. Art is often, and perhaps it is always. Yes, I think it is always about an effort that we ourselves are going to have to make, if we want to try to reveal a sense of whatever it is we are thinking or we are feeling about whatever it is, at whichever moment it is. I think it is also, and I think that this is an important point, I think it is also about a potential disruption to an assumption that anyone else might want to make, and even if it is the artist, him, her, or themselves, who is making this assumption, that they are the ones who are in charge of the way a particular narrative might unravel or it might unfold. Art is, and for want of a better word, it is generous in this way, in that it does not have to be fixed to a particular narrative or to a particular assumption. Its meaning, inevitably, I think, exceeds its intention. There is, in my view, and you see I'm seeing it again, there is, in my view, no such thing as truth, full stop. There are truths, I think we all know that, which others might want to imagine or to believe in a specific version of truth that is theirs, and it is theirs alone. To tell the truth, it is often assumed to be a good thing. To tell the truth, and as though it is a powerful weapon that might be used in evidence, in favour of those who do, and against those who do not believe in whichever version of truth it is that is being told. We live in a world where dramatic inequality enables certain truths to predominate and to proliferate. To tell the truth, I think you are lying to me. To tell the truth, I think I'm lying to you. To tell the truth, I think we are lying to one another as much as we are, or as much as we might be lying to ourselves. Of course, there are moments when I, or when you, or when we might want to indulge ourselves in a little postulation. Who hasn't, I wonder, ever postulated over one thing or another? Let him, I would say, or her, or whoever else it is, or it might be, cast the first stone. I would say it is only through the development of our own thoughts about that, which is not necessarily even a thing itself, that art is able to be, and or it is able to become, that which is whatever it is, or it might be, or it might become. To think about it, for us that is, to be able to think about it as being that which is whatever it is we want to imagine, I think we have to assume it is nothing. Unless, of course, and I'm not sure why I'm saying this, unless, of course, we assume that nothing exists. Is this a dagger I see before me, the handle toward my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain? Part 4. Art is not a thing that is a thing itself. It is not even a thing that is a thing within itself. It is not, for instance, a truth to a particular material, or to a particular anyone, or to a particular anything. It is instead, I think, a catalyst for anyone to be able to imagine that it is whatever it is they themselves might want to imagine. And we, or they, or whoever else it is, might want to call it art if we want to. Or we might want to call it something else, or to call it nothing at all if we want to. Art does not have to yield to a specific opinion. It does not have to answer a specific question, although it might raise a number of concerns. They therefore, and I think I'm talking here about those of us who might want to call ourselves academics, they, or we, if I also include myself in this term, might therefore assume, I think, that art is somehow a secondary species to those things which are other things that are called subjects, because we can place those other things that are called subjects into a specific context, which is what academia is. Academia is the name we give to the institution that is supposed to incorporate a notion of whatever it is knowledge is itself supposed to be, or it is supposed to become through the distribution of qualifications. And we can rant and rail and rage as much as we like about the villainy that is supposed to be within the institution, and as though we are not ourselves already implicated. We are implicated. As soon as we accept the offer, congratulations on being offered a place, or as soon as we accept the job, the title, or the award. We are the subjects, and we are the subject. And as soon as I say that, I realise it is not until we place a subject, a specific subject, into a specific context, such as, I don't know, such as whatever it is, that we can talk about its history. But the history that we can talk about is not a history of the thing that is the thing itself. It is a history of the context to which the thing itself is supposed to belong. It is through a history of the context and not through a history of the thing that is the thing itself that we are able to reach a specific conclusion that, for instance, all men are equal, or that all roads lead to Rome. These truisms, as they are often called, draw our attention away from being able to think about the thing that is supposed to be the thing itself, because now we have to assume too much about the specific context to which the thing itself is supposed to belong. All men are equal, all roads lead to Rome, etc. Or that a subject is itself, by being that which is whatever it is, or it might be, or it might become, by being that which is whatever it is being within the specific context of academia, is going to have to lose at least a proportion of its own self for the sake of being able to become a part of a whole thing, which is what the academic context is. It is all important and it is all consuming. Do you have any qualifications? Is a question that might be asked of anyone. What is it, do you think, that qualifies you to say or to do anything? I read a book once, is an appropriate answer. Or I listened to a podcast. Or I watched a video on YouTube. Or I went to a conference once in Los Angeles, which I did, but it was a disaster. Or was it me? Was I a disaster? Anyway, I do not know if it is the academic context itself that is all important, and therefore I think I might assume it is all consuming. But I think there is something in, or there is something about the way a subject is itself subjected to different levels of scrutiny within the halls of academia, that inevitably alters the course of its being, that which is whatever it is it might have been. If it had not already been taken in and taken on so many aspects from its surroundings that now make it seem as though it actually does belong. We are, or so it seems to me as though we are forever, moving ourselves further and further away from that which is whatever it is we might have been, if only this or if only that, trying to remember what happened. Regrets, I've had a few. If only I had made a little bit more effort to try to resist the allure of a regular salary, decent holidays, and a private pension scheme thrown in for good measure. Academia is so much bluff and bluster, a homogenised version of tradition. Academic robes, chairs of various standing committees, scholarships, professorships, buildings, quadrangles, corridors named after him, or her, or themselves. The union demands an immediate investigation. Statues are, as they say, torn down, smeared with paint, or discreetly removed. The protests continue through intermittent sit-ins, walkouts, and the occupation of the main office complex in the main building, and through a withdrawal of their labour. A group of donors are invited to a dinner to try to secure some more funding to build an extension onto the gallery from those who already have, and for whatever reason it is, too much money at their disposal. To make it look as though it is all about philanthropy, a giving to the arts and to culture and to a specific community. In reality, or in whatever else it is, it turns out to be just another tax avoidance scheme that was put in place through a solicitor's office to try to ensure a family trust fund remains being the gift that keeps on giving. Students resent the old because of their old ways and they want to refund. And while they're at it, they want increased recognition of their special needs and 24-hour access to most things. Staff want to be able to work from home more often because of childcare arrangements. The costs, apparently, have gone through the roof. And because they have a home office already set up during the lockdown, which is when they started to develop symptoms around their own mental health and emotional well-being, that has recently been dramatically exacerbated through the imposition of a new line management structure. They go on strike, or so they say, for equal pay. They say this is what they're after, and they paint those words onto a bedsheet, which they fasten to the railings in front of the main building, next to another sign that says, "Honk your horn to show us your support." I look at this and I laugh, because I cannot help it, I'm nervous, as I cycle along the main road past the picket line and a series of banners and placards that are fastened to the railings. Because I'm thinking about the aesthetics of protest, and I'm wondering, why does it always have to look so tawdry? There is no more pride left anymore in protest. And are they really asking for equal pay? For everyone, or for themselves? If it was for everyone, I think I might be able to get behind the effort, but no, I do not think it is about equal pay for everyone. I think it's about different levels of anxiety, insecurity, and disappointment that persists. They read a book once by Kafka. Now they can use the word Kafkaesque in their conversation, and imagine themselves as being a victim to a villain, which is of course the institution itself, and as though it has a mind of its own. Just another twist, I would say, in the twisted shape of post-industrial capitalism, if that's what it's called. Different unions fighting over different percentages of pay for their members, and with a florid sense of self-righteous indignation. Whilst what am I doing? That's a good point, what am I doing? Whilst I am trying to stay calm, I think, and to carry on doing whatever it is I do. But what else can I do? Because I do not think it is about equal pay for everyone. I think it's a last-ditch attempt from middle-class people who are trying to defend middle-class lifestyles and middle-class jobs for themselves and for their children and for their children's children. It's a feudal debacle in the guise of being something that's supposed to be kind. But do we really care enough about the ice packs melting, forests disappearing and deserts spreading to be able to let go of the car? No, we need to have the car for school runs and for holidays, wherever. Years pass by, people pass away, promises evaporate. I think I am not dissimilar to most people. I am not an exception that is meant to prove the rule. I have a partner, friendships, a mortgage, a studio in an old industrial complex which I rent on a monthly basis. Some people like me, others don't, and I don't mind. I think it's important to maintain a balance between appreciation on one hand and disdain on the other. Otherwise, it all becomes too settled, or it becomes too much.